And now I need to add the onBeginRequest and onEndRequest methods. In the onBeginRequest method, I'm going to capture the time that the request comes in and store it as part of the HTTP request. So the first thing I need to do is cast the sender to an HTTP application object. Then I'm going to add a new item into the context collection of this HTTP application. And I will call it begin request time. And then I wouldn't recommend that you do this, but just for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm going to make the request pause for 1 second. Now in the onEndRequest event, I'm going to take that time and I'm going to display that to the user. So I'll start off by writing my event handler, subroutine. And then I'm going to cast the sender as an HTTP application again. And all I want to do now is write out that begin request time so I can see what it was. And I'll do that by using the context object, the response object, and output dot write line. And I'll write out the begin request time. Now I'm going to compile my application just to make sure I haven't made any syntax errors. And since it's compiled successfully, I'll go into the web config. So I'm going to modify the web.config by adding my HTTP module. So I'll add an HTTP module section, and in there I'll use the add item and give it a name, and I'll call it request data, and I will give it a type, which in this case is also going to be request data because that's the name of the class. Now I'll save the changes to the web config, and I'll come over and set my default.aspx as the start page. and I will run it. And you can see the page came up. I forgot to give text to my button, but you can see the differences in the time. So the time at the top is the time when the page load event was fired, and the time at the bottom was when the request was first received. And you'll remember we put a 1-second delay in there. So as I click on refresh, you'll notice that the times change, but there's always at least a second delay between the two times. So hopefully this gives you an idea how you can write your own HTTP module to extend ASP.NET and to provide functionality that you might need. Some more complex but useful examples are writing a custom HTTP module that will allow you to share session state between ASP and ASP.NET. Other examples might be writing an HTTP module that will allow you to do custom authentication of users. Really, anytime that you want to intercept a call early on and manipulate, really anytime that you want to insert your code early on into the processing pipeline or at the end before a response is sent back, that's a good time to look at using an HTTP module to provide that functionality.